in the FinSense product, which we call as FinCrime Sensing. So once I log in, I land to the typology listing or the scenario listing dashboard. So this is where all the scenarios which I've ingested to configure are showing. For you on day 0, this will be a blank because you would have not have ingested any scenario. Now you start ingesting a scenario which is upload typology. You upload that typology file over here, like what I just now downloaded. So I can just open that file and it gets uploaded. I already have uploaded it in the system in the past, so it is showing as already present. But once you are downloading it for the first time and uploading it to your FinSense installation, it will show as ready to upload. And then you can confirm, and it will be available on the UI for you to do the next set of steps. Okay. So now once that scenario file has been uploaded to the FinSense installation, you proceed to create a simulation project or a simulation for that scenario to be tested. And that is what we call as run instance in our product. So run instance is nothing but a simulation which you will do for that scenario after configuring it.
How do you actually, between downloading to usually have to do some mapping and some config in order for the rule to your data side of things? If I take somebody else's scenario, surely when I port it over to my FinSense, right, I must make sure that the fields, I mapped into the right fields.
Yeah.
Okay. So how is that?
The data mapping will happen offline, has to happen offline, right? So the data mapping, we have a standardized data model, which we will have to discuss with you, right? And I think there was a requirement also in the RFP that you would like us to extract the data from your system, transform and map it to a data model. So we can do that for you also. Yeah, just to let you know. So this is considering once everything has been done and it is already in the location, it's considering that.
See,
okay?
So that assumes that's been done.
Yes.
Assuming we want to pick a new scenario from that's been created.
Yeah,
that's been relevant.
That's fine. Yeah.
You will have to do that mapping in case there's new
fields.
Yes, there is new fields.
Yes, that has to be done.
Yes, that has to be done. Yes.
Okay.
But if it is existing in the set of fields which you already give us, nothing to be done.
Yeah.
Just come here, configure, move on.
Okay, sure.
So I'll just proceed to the next step of creating that simulation. For that, you just click on this plus icon over here and you create a new simulation called as run instance. Well, I'll create a new run instance. Okay. Now this scenario has been added to the run instance successfully. Now I'll go to configure that run instance and I can see that in this view, there will be that specific run instance which I just now created. Okay. As a next step, I would want to configure this. I'll click on configure, and that's where I can see this specific scenario, deviation from historical behavior, is a scenario which I added as part of this specific simulation. The next step is to click on risk indicators. So I will just again repeat that. The scenario which has been added to this specific run instance is deviation from historical profile. I can apply different segments to it as well. I'll just maybe tell about it a bit later. But before that, move to the risk indicator. So this is where the risk indicators have been automatically generated by the system for this scenario. The scenario which you saw as boxes over there, there is a customer who we want to monitor from a historical behavior perspective in terms of deviations. It has been broken down into these indicators automatically by the system. Okay. Now, just to answer, I think what Andy was mentioning earlier, rules versus scenarios. In a rule, it would be a singular rule. Whether if it breaches, then the customer is suspicious. If it is below it, customer is not suspicious. It's a singular rule. But here, if you see that we have multiple indicators which come together to define the suspicious behavior of the customer, and that's how we generate good quality alerts. And you can see that there are multiple of these indicators in terms of how the customer has been behaving in the last 30 days versus the 6 months average in terms of his annual monthly income. And these are all configurable. There could be many more which can be added to it as well. I'm just giving you some of the configured ones for this scenario right now. And you can see that it can be applied to, you see this drop down, right? Set default, okay? Now, one of the important things to note here is that this scenario can be applied differently to different kind of customers which you have on your side. And hence, there needs to be a system's capability to define this scenario in different ways for different customer set which you have. And that's where we have segmentation functionality as well in the configuration piece, where you can configure this scenario differently for different segments. Okay. So for that, I'll go back over here. I was saying that, yeah, this is where I'll come back a bit later. So here you can click different segments which you have configured. It could be a combination of customer type, it can be individual who is having a high risk belonging to a specific geography like Vietnam or Singapore. So I'm just giving you some examples. These segments are configurable as well in the settings section. I'll show you how as well. Now here you can select these configurations, this segments to be applied to this specific scenario over here.
One question. When a new rules is being added, do you need to rerun the existing cases in order to consider the impact on the new rules?
Yeah. So when a new rule is being added, you will test that rule out on your existing data set using this process itself. Okay. Now, once that rule is getting evaluated by you as part of the existing data set, you then see the results, verify it, and then move it to production. You don't have to like touch the existing sets of scenarios which you already are live with in production.
But those tests, those cases that is in production, how they can consider the impact of these new rules?
I think he's like asking whether, retrospective testing based on the updated rules or the scenarios within the system. Like, for example, if there's a new scenario that's been created, tested, or is good, put into production, do you actually do retrospective testing on the previous?
No, it is not needed because everything starts with the threshold recommendation. So as you can see, generally in rule system, what happens is that you will do above the line or below the line testing and put your own thresholds. Okay, I'm not saying you cannot completely reject the system thresholds. You can do, because as Ashutosh was showing, but the main crux of the system is based on your own data. The system recommends the thresholds. Now you can always recalibrate the thresholds, but if let's say you have already your new scenario you're adding in 3 months time, so I don't think your data is that dynamic that 3 months everything will change for the new rules. But if you want to check, you can check on a small set of data and see that the thresholds recalibration is changing a lot. But generally what we have seen is that because the system recommends the thresholds, and when it recommends the thresholds, it already takes into 6 months to 1 year of data. So that periodicity of the data is already taken into account. So if the thresholds does not dynamically vary, then ideally it doesn't have any impact on your old scenarios. That's the thesis, yeah.
Maybe I'll show you that to you as well. So I was on the segmentation flow. I just added segmentation to it. Right? You can see like multiple sets added to it. So in this way, the same scenario can be configured differently for different segments which you have configured over here. Okay. Now there is this specific derived threshold that you see. Right. So this is where the machine will analyze your customer data set, which has been uploaded into a system already, the past historical data set, and suggest you the optimal threshold values for these indicators. So it will already give you a head start in terms of configuring the scenario from the compliance team perspective. You don't have to do any kind of ATL, BTL testing to come to those thresholds. The system will suggest those thresholds to you from analyzing the historical data set of the customers which you have already. Okay, maybe I'll showcase one of the existing run instances where this, just a second. Yeah, So here you can see that there is derived threshold which has been suggested by the system already for this scenario, which is like odd hour transactions, which we are trying to monitor. So this is how you will see the derived thresholds coming up for the indicators which have been generated for that specific scenario. Now you have a flexibility to override these derived thresholds at any point in time, because suppose you feel that this threshold is something which needs to be altered basis your experiences, basis your knowledge. You can put those final thresholds to override the machine generated threshold as well.
When you override a threshold, can you override only per case, or you must override the entire system?
No, per case, per
Per
risk
case.
indicator.
Okay.
Per indicator, and you can also override per.
Not only per case, per risk indicator of a case. Even
Per
to
case
that.
level, not the whole system.
No.
It is per risk indicator and per segment which you have created.
Means you can even override one risk indicator within a case, only one, let's say, yeah.
Now, once you have done this configuration, you have set the threshold values, you have maybe set up a final threshold, then you choose the data set. And I think that's where your question gets answered. Can I apply it on the past data set? That's where you can choose a data set on which you want to run this simulation on, this testing on. So you can choose a historical data set, maybe 3 months back. I want to run it from April 1 to the current date, which is maybe May 22nd. So this is where I choose the data set in terms of training and prediction, training to be used to generate the thresholds, prediction to be used to generate the alerts. Okay. Now, once that is done, you click on launch, and that's how the simulation projects get launched. Okay. And it will generate certain alerts, which are called as testing alerts. Okay. Just to again recap. So what we have done till now is we have ingested a scenario. We have configured that scenario using the automated thresholds that we suggest, using the segmentation functionality that we have in the product. And then we have run it. We have executed it by choosing a data set. And then it generates testing alerts, which comes to this results tab. So this is where the testing alerts will come up for you. And over here, you have two purposes. The one purpose is to check the coverage of that scenario on your data set, whether that scenario is even being detected on a data set or not. Okay, this is the kind of data you have. The second thing is the effectiveness of that specific scenario basis the thresholds which you have set, the effectiveness in terms of the quality of alert which is being generated.
Can we like download this as a report?
You can.
Does it look like just a listing or a graph, or how does it?
So when you say report, you mean to say the results outcome of that specific run instance. Okay. So I will just maybe show you that as well.
It is a CSV file, basically, like an Excel.
So
I'm just seeing Deepan has a request in terms of cloud. You have your guys talking about cloud, right? So yeah, let's maybe we can jump into cloud and then jump back into the demo if needed. I mean, at 10:45, something like that. Eric, you can trouble to note that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we finished the transaction monitoring and then.
Yeah, and then.
let me finish this.
So we can, let's continue on. I'm just giving a.
I'll give time, yes.
Yeah.
Can we go directly, because I need to go the same meeting? Can we go cloud?
So you have
Let us complete this, Soma and Deepan. Let's complete this part. It's important as well. And then.
maybe I'll take the questions at the end when I think they are not here. So I'll just quickly complete the whole flow.
Yeah, that's good.
So as I was on the results tab, so this is where the results are there, meaning the testing alerts have been generated. And as I mentioned, you are reviewing it for coverage and effectiveness of those alerts. And how does a testing alert look like for your evaluation process? You just click on this alert. You will see a smart assessment view. So just to point out and note, these are not the actual alerts. These are testing alerts generated as part of the simulation project to test out two things, coverage and effectiveness. Just keep that in mind. Now here you can see that general information is there. There's a specific customer who was there, their accounts and alert history, the transactions which have triggered that specific alert for this customer, and the explanation of that specific scenario. Like this scenario got detected, there were indicators which had a specific threshold which was breached and the respective importance to it. So this is how a scenario explanation looks like for you to evaluate, and you can also see other non-contributing scenarios as well. It is not that only the indicators which have contributed come on the UI. Also, the indicators which were fine for that customer will also be popped up. Okay, so that's how the difference between a rule system is. Because in a rule system, if one thing gets breached, you get an alert. And that's how you are bombarded with so many alerts for you to monitor. But here, if you see, it's a holistic picture. Even if some indicators are within the boundaries, like these two, but there are some who are breaching by a lot in terms of deviation, then the importance is there, the respective threshold value comes up, and the alert is generated. So now you can evaluate this testing alert, and you can choose a sample set, evaluate those alerts, and then take a call whether this configuration, this thresholds which I have put is fine for you or not. And once you are okay with that, what you do is that you move this completed or tested run instance to production. And that's where we have an inbuilt maker checker, which allows you to do that, because each step we want it to be validated by the respective team members in your team, so that there is no mistake as such. So here I can just show you that flow. I select a specific completed run instance. I deploy it in production. So that's where I can see that these are the scenarios which I have tested just now. This to, I think, answer you as well. And these are scenarios which already are live in production. So you can maybe deselect some of them. If you have phased out those scenarios, you don't want to monitor those scenarios, you can deselect them, but you can keep all of them. You can keep the new ones as well, which you have just now tested, and merged them together in a new challenger. Okay, we call it as challenger, and then create that. So this create request has been now submitted for approval, and then one of your checkers can come. They can a person in the compliance team checking rights, so they can come. They can open this tickets dashboard. Here they can see this new challenger request which has come up from one of the compliance team members in terms of new scenario testing. They can click on it. They can see what is the testing overview which has been done by that compliance user, that compliance configuration user. So they can see an overall view in terms of how many alerts generated, what is the level of alerts, how many scenarios have been tested across what specific segmentation, and then what is with the previous one performing. So in this way, you as a checker will be able to have that view, and you can then either approve this ticket or reject it. If you are rejecting it, you will give some comment that, yeah, maybe this scenario is not working fine, the alerts are not proper, go back and review it again. Or you, once you approve this, it will start generating alerts for the new set of scenarios along with the existing scenarios into the case manager for your operations team to come and solve those alerts. So this completes the configuration flow from a compliance user perspective, where scenarios are being downloaded from the AMC ecosystem, tested, deployed using a maker checker, and then the alerts are generated.
Is this clear?
Yeah, it's clear. I'm just very conscious. We're being pressed all left, right, center for time. I understand it. So as much as, I mean, we appreciate this. And I think we'll probably look at the case management itself by right.
And also the screening, right?
Yeah. So how about let's just finish up the case management bits, and then we can go to.
Case manager actually has a lot of functionalities, so it will take us at least 15 minutes.
Yeah, I think we do have the 15 minutes, right, guys? 10:45, right? So yeah, let's go. 15 minutes. 15, right?
15.
Yes, 15. And let's keep that. I think in terms of the rationale, it's okay. You understand that we will be okay with it. So just help us see what we can do with it.
We will mostly focus on the automation functionalities there.
Yeah.
How many people